Welcome to my channel. This is JC Rock and Metal Reviews. My name is John, and today I have another ranking video for you. I will be ranking the solo albums by Ozzy Osbourne. So before I begin, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, and a lot more. So Ozzy Osbourne, he is one of the originators of the heavy metal genre. He started out in Black Sabbath. Now he had a solo career spanning a little over 40 years. So let me just jump right into it. I'll be talking about 12 albums. Let me just get started. So coming in number 12 is Undercover. I usually don't include cover albums on my ranking videos, but I wanted to include this one because it is kind of like his weakest, and the rest of the albums are like a lot better. Now he just basically does lots of covers of rock songs from like the 60s and 70s. So he does In My Life by the Beatles, he does Woman by John Lennon, he does All the Young Dudes by Mata Hoople, and a lot of other songs from the 60s and 70s. So this is just an okay album, but compared to like the rest of his discography, this will be the weakest. So let me move on. Coming in number 11 is Scream from the year 2010, and this is a very heavy album. It just has like a very heavy, like almost like a groove metal vibe to it. Even like a little grungy at times, which is kind of strange because it came out in the 2000s. Like the albums he did in the 90s like weren't like grunge albums. But the first songs are pretty good. Let Me Hear You Scream, that's a really good one. Soul Sucker, there's a heavy song. And this one has Gus G on guitars, Rob Lasko on bass, and Adam Wakeman on keyboards. It's an okay album, but I have it at the end because it is the weakest. The other ones are a lot better. Coming in at number 10 is Black Rain. This one was released in 2007. This is the last one with Zakk Wylde. It has Rob Lasko on bass and Mike Bordin on drums. This is another heavy album. It has like a lot of like great heavy songs. One of the standout tracks is Not Going Away, that opens up, and I Don't Want to Stop. That's another heavy track, but lots of good songs here. It has The Almighty Dollar. That's a pretty fun track, so I like that one a lot. Coming in number 9 is Ordinary Man. This is his new one. So I remember when this one came out. This one came out in 2020. And I remember hearing about it. They announced he was going to do a song with Post Malone. When I first heard that, I'm like, I'm not interested. I didn't even like listen to the single when it came out. But once it came out, I decided to give it a listen, and it was like really good. I was like really surprised by it. And it's a different type of album because it's kind of like they have, he doesn't really have like a set band. He just has like lots of like guest stars. So he has Duff McKagan, Chad Smith, Slash, Tom Morello, Elton John on one song, on the title track. He did do Post Malone. His daughter Kelly Osbourne did some background on one track. So there's a lot of like people on here. I really like the song Ordinary Man he did with Elton John. It's kind of a strange pairing, but I think it really works. But other songs like Straight to Hell, All My Life, these are pretty cool like metal songs. Coming in at number 8 is Down to Earth. And this is a heavy album. It came out in 2001. Really great album. And this one has a really great lineup. It has Zakk Wylde. It has Robert Trujillo, and he played on this album right before joining Metallica. And it has Mike Bordin on drums, and he was with Faith No More. So Ozzy really had a really good lineup on this album. And there are a lot of songs on here I like. Gets Me Through. It's a great opening track, really great lyrics, just talking about all the things he's been through. It has the ballad Dreamer, which is kind of okay. Not one of his best ballads, but it's a decent song. And the rest of the songs are like very good. This is a very heavy album, lots of great riffs on it. Coming in number 7 is Osmosis. This one came out in 1995. In the mid-90s, most of these bands were going the grunge route or the alternative metal route, but not Ozzy. This is a straightforward heavy metal album, and it's really good, and it also has another really awesome lineup. So we have Zakk Wylde on guitar, Geezer Butler on bass, which is so cool. It kind of brings back a little of that like Sabbath and Dean Castronovo on drums, including Rick Wakeman on keyboards. And the opening track, Perry Mason. This is one of my top 10s, and if you watched my video I did with Brian from AYBL Maine, we both picked this in our top 10. This is like one of his best tracks. Another one of my favorites that I picked myself called Thunder Underground. It's probably one of his heaviest tracks. It just kind of goes into this almost like a Pantera-esque vibe. It's a really heavy track. Also co-written by Geezer Butler, and there's a ballad, See You on the Other Side, pretty cool, co-written by Lemmy. I think that's pretty cool, and he does have a lot of like great writers. I see Zakk Wylde and Steve Vai with some writing credits here. So all these albums after this are really top-notch albums. Coming in number 6 is The Ultimate Sin, and this one came out in 1986, and this one has kind of a different vibe for his 80s albums. It's more of like a glam metal. You remember like seeing music videos of him during his time. He has like this big like perm and like the big like 80s hair and that look. So it's kind of cool. But this is the second album with Jake E. Lee and drummer Randy Castillo, bassist Phil Sussman. This one came out in 1986. This is a really good album. I like a lot of the songs. My favorite one, and I talked about this in my video I did with Brian, called Lightning Strikes, and it's a really like heavy, almost really classic like metal riff on that one. That one I like a lot. But a lot of the other songs are really like great, like catchy songs. Secret Loser, Thank God for the Bomb, Killer of Giants. That's a really great ballad. I like that one. And the title track, that's the biggest hit from this album, but it's another good one, Shot in the Dark. Coming in number 5 is No More Tears. This one came out in 1991. This is probably one of his biggest albums. It could be like one of his biggest selling albums. I remember in the early 90s, this was like a really major hit. And this one has, again, Ozzy always has these great lineups. Zakk Wylde on guitars, Randy Castillo on drums, and John Sinclair on keyboards, Bob Daisley on bass. The biggest hit, well, my favorite song is the title track, No More Tears. This is one of my favorite Ozzy Osbourne songs of all time. He does have lots of cool ballads on here. He has Mama, I'm Coming Home. That was a big hit. Time After Time was another ballad. The song Hellraiser, that was also a song recorded by Motorhead. So it was written by both Ozzy and Lemmy. And that song appeared on 2 different albums, so that's pretty cool. This is a really good album, and just that the ones I'm going to talk about now are a lot better. Coming in number 4 is Bark at the Moon. So this was the album that after Randy Rhoads was killed, or after he passed away, he brought on Jake E. Lee. So it has a really great lineup here. He has Jake E. Lee on guitar, Bob Daisley on bass, and Tommy Aldridge on drums, and Don Airey on keyboards. This one came out in 1983, and lots of great songs. Bark the Moon, that's a really great one. Rock and Roll Rebel, Center of Eternity, that's like one of my favorites. It has So Tired, that's pretty cool. There's a European edition and has another song called Spiders on it. That might not be on all versions of the album, but that's a really great one. And those are a couple songs I talked about during my top 10. Coming number 3 is No Rest for the Wicked from 1988. This is like one of the first albums from Ozzy Osbourne that I kind of bought when I was really getting into metal. 1988 was like such a great year for heavy metal. Another great lineup. Ozzy always had these awesome lineups. So we have Zakk Wylde on guitar, Bob Daisley on bass, Randy Castillo on drums, and so many good songs. My favorite one, probably Fire in the Sky, really great ballad, really great like orchestral elements to that, but lots of great ones. Miracle Man, I really like the kind of guitar. Has a like talk box effect. Crazy Babies, that's a really fun song. Breaking All the Rules, that's kind of like has that classic sound. Demon Alcohol, kind of like a similar song to like Suicide Solution. And this is a great album all the way through. This is so this one I have at number 3. Number 2, I have Diary of a Madman. This is the second one with Randy Rhoads, and this one has Ozzy, and it has Bob Daisley on bass and Lee Kerslake on drums. This is just a great album all the way through. The follow-up to the first one, and you know what's going to be number one. But Over the Mountain, that's a really awesome song, and a really great Randy Rhoads riff on that. Flying High Again, that's another one. He plays that live. You Can't Kill Rock and Roll, that's just another classic. Believer, and he has some kind of like different stuff where it kind of more like these like haunting tones with like Diary of a Madman, the ending track. So this is such an awesome album. And number one, I mean, you all know what this was going to be, Blizzard of Oz, the debut album from 1980. This is such a classic album, and this is just almost the perfect album. All the songs are great. Has Randy Rhoads on the guitar, and Randy Rhoads was with Quiet Riot prior to this. Bob Daisley on bass, Lee Kerslake on drums, and all the songs are great. Crazy Train, that's like his most signature, you know, well-known song. And they do different stuff, like Randy Rhoads plays like a classical piece. Suicide Solution, that's really great, talking about alcohol. Mr. Crowley, one of my favorite songs of all time, one of my favorite Ozzy songs. Really great with the intro, with the organ and the guitar, and that like classical riff. Actually, me and Brian were talking about this in our video. Definitely check out the live version from the Ozzy Osbourne tribute. It's probably a better version of Mr. Crowley. But this is just a classic album, and it is just such an awesome album. So that is it. So let me know in the comment section, what did you think of my list? You could put your ranking of the Ozzy Osbourne albums in the comment section, and we can talk about it. So that's it. Coming up tomorrow, new releases. Yngwie Malmsteen. I have new album by the thrash metal band Mordred. There's a new album by the punk band The Descendants. So I should be reviewing those three this weekend. So that's it. Thanks for watching. I will put a couple other videos over here, and that's it. See you in the next one.